Hello nerds and nerdettes, and welcome back to the channel where once again we have a new video for you guys. Today we will be covering the Scott Pilgrim 20th anniversary full color box set edition. I do have to specify that it is the full color edition. I will get into why. Now before we get into all of the details of this specific box set, a quick reminder that if you are looking for any of the books or collected editions that are featured on the channel, to use the channel sponsor organicpricebooks.com, you can use the code STAYNERDY for $2 off your order, or when ordering 4 or more books, you can use the code STAYNERDY, ship it together, to save yourself 5% on that entire order. It's a great way to help support the company we know and love, OPB, but also this channel. So thank you to each and every one of you guys that do decide to use that code. But let's go ahead and jump into the details of the box set. This box set does have a cover price of $249.99. Now you can get it a lot more cheaper when it comes to other distributors, so make sure if you are looking for this, you take advantage of that. This does collect all of Scott Pilgrim in 6 hardcover volumes, including a 7th hardcover volume that collects extras and sketches. And then you do have an envelope inside that has even more extras, from stickers to even a print. Now there is 2 editions of this specific box set. There's a black and white edition and a full color edition. The difference between the 2 is exactly what the name kind of gives away. One collects Scott Pilgrim in full color, while the other collects Scott Pilgrim in the original black and white. The main aesthetic differences between the 2 is this box set has a lot of colors, mainly a color scheme of white and red with pops of blue, where the other box set is almost a gray and yellow color, and that color scheme does go around to the volumes as well. So just be aware of that if the looks of the box set is something that does matter to you. Now the accumulative page count between all of these volumes is 1,244 pages, so you are getting a decent amount of content when it comes to everything that's collected in here, and the extras plus the envelope of extras, so you do get a decent bang for your buck when it comes to this specific edition of Scott Pilgrim. Now we can talk about some other editions and also compare this box set to some other box sets that I feel are worth it. But before we jump into that segment of this video, let's go ahead and take a look at what's inside this box set and take a little bit of a closer look at each volume. All right, here we are, Scott Pilgrim 20th anniversary box set. I have my lovely assistant helping me so I can open the box set and show off the books. My lovely assistant is Mrs. Nerd. Here we are, opening the box here. Make note of how the box is very similar to that of a game console box, which is a really, really cool aspect to this specific box set. So inside we are going to have volumes 1 through 6 and 8 extras. All of these are hardcovers, and this is all of Scott Pilgrim collected. I do not know anywhere else that the Scott Pilgrim extras that are collected in this specific volume is collected anywhere else. This box set is the only place that I know of. Correct me in the comments down below. But we can take a look at each of the covers. So here we are. Beautiful, absolutely incredible, so fitting to the series. For those of you that are not aware, Scott Pilgrim is Bryan Lee O'Malley's love letter to anime, manga, video games, you name it, he incorporates it into his story. And I am also into all of those things, all of those nerdy things. So Scott Pilgrim has always been a title that I've been a huge fan of. Bryan Lee O'Malley has a very interesting, cartoony, anime-inspired art style. This was originally published in black and white, which is why there is a black and white box set. This that you're looking at right now is the colored box set. I prefer Scott Pilgrim in color. I feel like it fits the world and the tone of the story much better, so that's my preferred way. But typically you can find Scott Pilgrim collected in black and white or colored in pretty much all box sets. In the bottom, you're going to see the extras envelope. Make note of that it is very similar to the envelope that you would receive when opening a new game system or console. This is actually, if I can get it out, my fat fingers would not allow me, but this is actually my favorite part about this box set, and that may sound silly because there's 7 volumes of content in here, but this is the most creative, the most personal part of this entire box set that I think is so funny and so cool and so fitting. So you open up the envelope. First thing you have is your instructions of starting your console, which is essentially Bryan Lee O'Malley having some fun and saying, read volumes 1 through 6, which I do think is very creative, very funny, fitting to the world once again. So awesome. It goes over the contents very similar to a game console, telling you have controllers and cords. Really, really cool. And then we do have not 1, not 2, but 3 sheets of stickers. I'm not a huge sticker guy. I probably won't use these, but if you do like stickers, you get 3 sheets of them. And make note of, again, the console system like symbol there, which is really, really cool. Awesome touch. And then we do have a Scott Pilgrim little black and white poster here, which I think is a nice touch. Probably my favorite thing in this envelope, which makes it even more immersive, is you do have a concert poster for the Sex Bombs, which is Scott Pilgrim's band in the story. I absolutely love that. It's so fitting once again and just makes you feel like the Scott Pilgrim world is actually real. If only, right? And then we do have a beautiful and super duper reflective, if you notice my assistant turned off the light because it is that reflective, is very reminiscent of a holographic Pokemon card. It has that level of reflectiveness, but it is a print of obviously the characters that are featured in the story and would look great in a frame or getting signed by maybe Bryan Lee O'Malley himself. So really cool extras, great title, great box set, and in an awesome package. So I definitely do recommend collecting it in this avenue, but it is on the pricier side, so just be aware of that. But here are the extras, which I did want to show off as well. So inside this volume, you're going to get character profiles. You're going to get some hidden stories, hidden details, mini stories, little pinups, backup stories, original stories. Scott Pilgrim before Scott Pilgrim was Scott Pilgrim. Just said Scott Pilgrim probably 40 times right there. You got some covers for the other hardcovers, I believe. I think these are the hardcovers. And then even more character designs. And like I said, some little short stories in here. And then even more promotional art. So really good stuff. Highly recommend it. I do think that if you want to read Scott Pilgrim, this is the superior way to collect it. And honestly, I highly recommend Scott Pilgrim as a whole, but we can talk about the story at the table, which we can jump to now. And welcome back, nerds and nerdettes. So if reading Scott Pilgrim is your main objective, there is a more affordable route, which is this complete series box set here. This does have a cover price of $89.99, so it is still on the pricier side, and you don't really get that many extras aside from a poster in this box set. But the main difference does come down to the volumes. Now, the most noticeable difference between the two does come down to the volumes. Here is volume 1 of each edition. this being the 20th anniversary, and this just being the complete series. The first thing that you're going to notice is you are having a much larger format on this side of things in the 20th anniversary. It is still a lot smaller than a deluxe edition or a Marvel omnibus or anything along those lines, but it is larger than the original Tankobon size that Scott Pilgrim was originally printed in. So if you do want a larger format, you may want to go this route. One of the other main differences is this is I don't know why I'm knocking on it. This is a hardcover, so you do have a little bit more of a important feel as you're reading from it. At least that's what I get from hardcovers. While this is a trade paperback, this is very similar to that of a manga volume. So if you are familiar with that format, that's what you're getting here. The other difference is, like I said during the beginning of this video, there is 2 editions. This is a full color edition. So all of your art inside is going to be in full color. You're going to have pretty decent page quality when it comes to the paper. And then over here, there is not 2 different editions. There's just one, which is the original black and white format or color scheme to the story within. So if you want colors, then you can go this route. If you don't really care, then you can go this route, or you can hunt down the many other editions that Scott Pilgrim was printed in. But we're mainly focusing on the box sets here, so that's why I'm focusing on these 2 editions here. But both are very valid editions. There's no issues with either of them. This is probably a little bit more comfortable to read just because it's such a smaller book, but this definitely feels like a much higher quality book. So if you want to feel like you have a little bit more bang for your buck, then maybe this is the route you want to go. And if you like extras, then the 20th anniversary box set may be the route you want to go also, because the complete series box set, this edition, doesn't really come with any extras. But we can go ahead and compare the box set's size and footprint. And a comparison of size here, because shelf space does matter, we do have the complete series box set being a smidge taller, but astronomically smaller as a entire package. This is going to be taking up a lot more space, this edition here, a lot more space on your shelf, not as much as some other box sets, but still a lot compared to this edition. You can practically store this in your bedside table. It's so compact and small and perfect for saving space if that's your main objective when collecting. But we can go ahead and now compare this to a box set that I do feel is worth the price tag and has a very similar price tag. And I'm over here if nobody can see me while I'm buried by box sets. But that edition is going to be the Akira 35th Anniversary Edition, which has a very similar price tag and has just as much bang for your buck. The main differences between these two, other than one being a manga and the other one being a comic, so maybe we're comparing apples to oranges here, but the main difference is the Akira box set is much, much larger, and that's mainly because of the size of the books inside the box set, which we can now jump to and compare those. So a quick comparison between these 2 volumes. So the Akira volumes are the same trim size as a Dark Horse Deluxe Edition. Volumes like Berserk or more recently Trigun that we've been seeing from Dark Horse, where Scott Pilgrim is just a little bit larger than a manga Tankobon size. So putting them up side by side, you do have a height difference between the 2. So if you do want a more taller book, more page to your art, then just keep that in mind. These are not massive books by any means. Another difference is that these Akira hardcovers do have a dust jacket, where Scott Pilgrim does not. These are much more compact and simplistic books, still feel great in the hand overall. But between the 2, they are great additions. You get a lot of bang for your buck, and there is 2 similarities that I think kind of make the price worth it, which we can go ahead and jump into, which is going to be these 2 items here. So you do get in both editions hardcover extras, essentially a completely extra book that is unrelated to the content of the story, at least. So with Scott Pilgrim, you do get a multitude of sketches and prints and short stories, things that go along with the live action movie, the video game, the anime, everything like that. While in Akira, you do get practically an art book, which is absolutely beautiful. These two items inside the box set kind of make them worth the bang for your buck, at least in my opinion, because a lot of times we get extras just in the back of the volume. So for those extras to be collected in their own volume, their own book, I think that's a nice personalized touch that makes the box set itself just feel a little bit more important. One of the other similarities between the two, which I think is another great touch other than them both being box sets, are what I call the box set Lambo doors, if I can get open here, where the doors of the box set do open very uniquely. I don't know why this matters, but it matters to me, so maybe it matters to some of you. Scott Pilgrim's 20th anniversary also has the same doors, the box set Lambo doors, which I'm going to call them, which just makes it feel a lot more important, very well put together, sturdy, and just unique as a package as a whole. Now there is other ways to absorb this material. There is a side-scrolling beat-em-up video game, which I can leave over here. There is an anime on Netflix that just somewhat recently released, and then there is a live action adaptation as well, all of them stay fairly faithful to the source material. There are some creative liberties when it comes to just storytelling or even cinematography, so be aware of that. But overall, they do stay fairly faithful, where you can absorb it in those routes as well if you don't want to go the box set or physical route. Now, Scott Pilgrim is a story that I do recommend absorbing in some capacity. This story does, of course, follow Scott Pilgrim, who is an amateur garage band member trying to find love, and he eventually does run into a character by the name of Ramona. He does want to fall in love and start dating Ramona, but first has to take out all 7 of her deadly exes. You may think this sounds familiar because maybe you saw the movie or played the video game. Scott Pilgrim is everywhere in our pop culture world. It's been adapted in so many formats, which I've already went over. But where this series is really going to shine is for pop culture lovers in general. This is very similar to that of Ready Player One, where there's a lot of references to comic books, video games primarily, manga. Even when it comes to the art style, it has a very kiddish, cartoonish, but also anime-like art style to it. And I think it will lend very beautifully and favorably to fans of not only comic books, not only manga, but even fans of just video games and pop culture as a whole. So I do recommend absorbing it in some form or fashion, whether it's the 20th anniversary box set, the individual volumes, the individual full color volumes, the smaller box set, digitally, whatever it may be. I do recommend at least trying it out and seeing if it's something you like. But that does wrap up today's video. So thank you all so much for watching. I truly appreciate each and every one of you guys, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. I love doing little comparisons like this, going over a specific edition, seeing if it's worth the money, or at least in my opinion, worth the money, and then letting you all know and relaying my view or my message on it, so you guys can make an educated decision on what format you want to go for titles. In this collected editions world, we have a lot of options, and hopefully this video narrowed it down a little bit. But if you are new to this channel, hit that subscribe button to join the Illuminati. This community is my favorite place on the internet, and I highly recommend it. Maybe I'm biased, but if you could also do me a favor and hit that thumbs up icon, it really means a lot and helps out with the algorithm. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you all again. And of course, stay nerdy.